The national debt clock has become a staple for Americans who want to reference the bankruptcy of the United States. But what most Americans miss, especially millennials, is the fact that the national debt clock did not have its origins online, but in the physical world. About 31 years ago, a billboard was installed in New York City near Times Square, publicly showing the growing national debt. So the question is, who installed that billboard? And more importantly, why? In this episode of Origins, we take a look at the history of the national debt clock. The national debt clock was invented by Seymour Durst, a New York real estate developer. The idea came to him in 1980. Back then, the national debt was approaching $1 trillion, and Seymour grew increasingly concerned with America's economic future. This fear sparked the idea of publicly displaying the national debt for other Americans to see. When Seymour had the idea in 1980, the technologies required to display such real-time count of the debt was not yet available. Seymour would have to wait almost a decade for this real-time data infrastructure to exist in order to have his billboard. And waited he did. On February 20th, 1989, the world's first national debt clock was installed. The national debt at the time was $2.7 trillion, and the installation took place near Times Square. The clock had a construction cost of about $100,000 and a maintenance fee of $500 a month to keep the 305 light bulbs running. In its 31-year lifespan, the national debt clock has seen its fair share of events, so here they are. On November 15, 1995, the clock stopped counting for the first time. It was frozen at a value of $4,985,567,071,200. This count freeze was due to a government shutdown that took place in 1995 under President Bill Clinton. In 1998, the clock broke down shortly after the debt surpassed $5.5 trillion. The cause was attributed to the numbers being too high. A new computer had to be installed inside the clock. In early 2000, the debt clock started to run backward for the first time in history. This was because the national debt at the time was actually decreasing. Quite a miracle. On September 7th, 2000, the clock was actually taken down. This is due to the fact that the national debt was decreasing since earlier during the year. Seymour's son, Douglas, said that the clock was originally put up to draw attention to the increasing national debt. And since the debt has been decreasing, the clock had served its purpose. The clock was unplugged and covered with a red, white, and blue curtain. At the time, the national debt was standing at $5.7 trillion. In July 2002, the curtain was raised and the clock once again picked up a rising debt starting at $6.1 trillion. On September 30th, 2008, during the midst of the financial crisis, the clock ran out of numbers as the debt surpassed $10 trillion for the first time in American history. The dollar sign was replaced with a 1 to reflect the true value of the national debt. However, a complete overhaul of the national debt clock is being planned. The current clock will be replaced with a new one that is not only computationally stronger, but also has more room for displaying numbers. The new clock will be able to show a debt up to $1 quadrillion. If you are unsure what this number means, a quadrillion dollars is 1,000 trillion dollars. This number is 15 times the GDP of the entire world. The debt clock has been moved several times during its lifespan. It's even been placed right next to an IRS building in Manhattan. If you want to find the location of this billboard, be sure to download the Cityscape app to see where exactly it is located. It is a bit hidden in an alleyway if you want a clue. Anyway, the national debt is now at $24 trillion and growing at a rate of about $60,000 per second. What do you think will happen? Will the debt cycle stop? Or will the debt reach $1 quadrillion? In either case, it never hurts to have some silver. I'll see you next time.